This is Circumference and the Fracton Faire. Fine fabrics, fresh cheese, bah, bah. It was the opening morning of the Fracton Faire. Such a merry atmosphere, said Lady Di of Abater. She and Circumference strolled jauntily through the crowds with their friend Reginald Parton, the Earl of Fracton. The two men stopped to watch a sword swallower, while Lady Di wandered over to a cloth merchant's booth. She ran her hand over a length of fabric. How perfectly soft, she exclaimed. The merchant smiled. You can buy all or part, she said, pointing to the sign above her. What do those numbers mean? Lady Di asked. They're Fracton numbers, my lady, the woman answered. They are used to measure equal pieces of something, such as this beautiful cloth. And yes, they are Fracton in this Fracton society. Why is one number below the other? Asked Lady Di. The bottom number is called the denominator, the seller explained. It shows how many parts are in a whole. She drew the lines on the material with soap sliver, dividing the fabric into equal sections. 4 in all, asked Lady Di. Yes, my lady, answered the woman. That's what the bottom number means, she said, pointing to the sign again. 4 parts, denominator of 4. And if I want just one part of the 4, asked Lady Di, the numerator or the top number tells how many parts of the cloth you want. In this case, it would be 1, said the woman. Lady Di printed the Fracton number 1/4 on the first section of the cloth. Indeed, that's 1/4, replied the merchant, and 2 parts of 4 would be 2/4. 3 parts of the 4 would be 3/4, and the entire length is 4/4. So this would be 1 of the fourths, 2 of the fourths, 3 of the fourths, 4 of the fourths. Lady Di smiled. I'm partial to red fabric. Have you any? The merchant nodded and bent down. Odd. My red material seems to be missing. I'm so sorry, my lady. She excused herself and hurried away to check with neighboring cloth sellers. At this point, Circumference and the Earl approached, each hungry enough to eat half of a horse. Soft curds here, bellowed a portly cheesemonger. Wheels of cheese, parts or whole, I'll take 1/2 of that Westleydale cheese, said the Earl. I'd like 2/4 of that Cheshire wheel, said Lady Di. She thought of her lesson on numerators. 2 pieces meant she could save 1 for later. I'm so hungry, I'll have this much of the Stilton, said Circumference, pointing to 4/8 on the sign. He thought the bigger numbers meant more cheese, but when the portions were cut, they were all the same amount. They're equivalent, explained the cheesemonger. The Stilton is cut into smaller pieces, so there are more of them. Here, I'll cut the cheddar wheel and you'll see. Wait a tick, where is it? Missing cheese, Lady Di remembered the red missing cloth. Was it just a coincidence? Tucked away from the hubbub, 6 men were divvying up a round of tangy cheddar and looking over a pile of other stolen goods from the fair. Well done, lads, bad old Barnaby said to his band. We've pinched some right proper stuff we have. Spread out beside them were meats, breads, ale, yarn, fabric, purses, coins, and 4 fluffy sheep. That cloth was the easiest pickings I ever did pilfer, chortled one of Barnaby's men. By now, almost everyone at the fair was missing something. People surrounded the Earl, all talking at once. The Earl's head sheep shearer pushed forward. My lord, he explained, 1/3 of your finest sheep are missing. We had a dozen to clip, but 4 are gone. Thieves, growled the Earl. They desire easy gain. Let's think of it like a thief so we can catch that culprit. A plan was quickly hatched. It's a long shot, but it might work. Our puppeteer will set the trap, the Earl said, and Fracton numbers will do the 9/10 of the work. At high noon, the performance began. It featured Fracton's 2 favorite puppets, the diminutive half-pint and the sizable pottle. Oh, Pottle, a huge golden coin. Let's fly up there and grab it. Such a half-baked idea is no surprise coming from you, a half-wit like you. The audience just roared with laughter. Perhaps a kind member of our audience could get the coin for us. On the whole, not a half bad idea unless he or she is partially tempted to keep it. You got that right, Barnaby snickered, poking one of his mates in the ribs. The band had returned to enjoy the performance. I've got a half-mad idea. Let's give the coin to the person who finds the largest Fracton number. Slips like this are half hidden all around the fair. Bring your findings here. By 2:30, our 1/6 cents tells us we'll have a winner. The audience sprang into action. A gold sovereign was enough money to buy a small farm. The thief will want that coin, the Earl said to Circumference and Lady Di. We had no stealing before the fair began. We will think the thief is an outsider to Fracton. And you wager that an outsider would think a number like 1/16 is bigger than something like 1/3 because the denominator's larger, said Lady Di. I made that mistake myself, admitted Circumference. Now I realize that the larger denominator, the smaller each part is. The higher the numerator, the more parts there are. Mine's bigger. Mine's bigger. People were having fun searching. Fracton numbers were discovered in unusual places. A small girl noticed a 7/9 between two slices of bread. This could be the winning number, she said excitedly. Barnaby and his band kept their eyes peeled for Fracton numbers. They observed a woman unwrapping a 1/2 from a wool wax jar, but they dismissed it. Too small, Barnaby told his men. A young boy and his father spotted a 1/32 slip. Such a tiny Fracton number, moaned the boy. Leave it, son, his father said. No one would be stupid enough to want that. They left it on the lunch table, where Barnaby took it. Oh, lads, he chuckled, we're in luck now. We are big numbers. This must be the winning ticket. The tower bells rang at 2:30. Would everyone with a slip step forward, the Earl asked the crowd, and please line up by number size. I'm here in the middle, said the woman with the 1/2. Mine's a bit larger than 1/2, said the boy with 5/8. This one is larger still, I think, said the little girl with 7/9. The slip holders jostled about, but finally everyone was in order, with Barnaby proudly standing on one end with 1/32 and sweet little Madeline Elizabeth Hobart on the other end with 1/1. 1/1, 1 whole. The gentleman with the 1/32 called the puppet master. As the holder of the smallest Fracton number, you may award the gold coin to the winner, who holds the 1 whole slip. No, screeched Barnaby, my number's biggest. The coin's mine. He ran towards the gold sovereign. The Earl blocked him. Defeated, Barnaby and his band turned and fled. They were too fast, the Earl said, returning to the puppet theater after a fruitless chase. But we found the stolen goods. Those half dozen ruffians were a whole heap of trouble, said Circumference. But they fell to pieces in the end, exclaimed the Earl happily. The village of Fracton and its Earl continued to be famous for sheep, the fair, and the unique way that they wrote their numbers. Those numbers became known as Fractons in Angleland. People used them when they wanted to represent parts of things. Today, we call them fractions.